Que sera, sera. What will be, will be.
When I was just a little boy, I asked my mother, what will I be?
You'll make a fine doctor.
Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? Here's what she said
Come on, darling.
to me.
Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Second verse.
When I was just a child in school, I asked my teacher, what should I try?
Catch.
Should I paint pictures? Should I sing songs? This was her wise reply.
Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Oops.
What will be, will be.
May I have this next dance?
Yes?
All right. Dum, dee, dum, da, dum.
This is hardly a time for levity.
Hi, and welcome to Ward 13 with John Hopwood. My guest tonight is Elizabeth Moreau, the alderman from, I'm going to say Ward 13, no, from Ward 6.
Yep.
I asked Jim to come on for the first 10 minutes, and let's get the camera on them, because you were going to talk, share some about last night's school board meeting. See, schools aren't my thing.
They're
I don't
not.
have kids.
So yeah, so the first thing I would like to say about last night was, and I know you didn't see it, you couldn't see it, and you're going to try to, but it's kind of strange we're talking about something. But the first thing is, and this is not all sort of sweetness and light, but first of all, it was a packed auditorium. So, and it wasn't packed sort of for people who were there to protest or something, which we'll see that from time to time, right? And there are times for school board meetings where there's lots of people there, but there were lots of people there last night. and the majority of people there were students. So, and what I liked about that too was there was diversity geographically across the city, and there was diversity in grade school, middle school, high school. So the biggest single group was Memorial's robotics team was there to get an award. They won the state award. They're going to be representing New Hampshire at the regionals, New England regionals, and they're going to go end up going to nationals. I think it's in Detroit or something. I'm not sure if I heard fully about that. But that room was full of the people in yellow shirts. Then you had the city middle school spelling bee award winner, the city middle school geography bee award winner. There was a young lady also from Memorial who won a national competition or a region. She's been out to New York to accept an award for a piece of artwork which they had standing as you walked in. So there was all of that. So there were, and then the student athletes. So you had arts and all that represented. Your robotics represented. You had the spelling bee, geography. Then there was the student athletes, and the student athletes were for the three high schools, and they. This is from the NHIAA. So in order to get an award, it's chosen by the school and by the NHIAA. But you have it's like it as I called it on my show, like the trifecta, because there are students who are excellent academically, good at sports. You have to have had 2 varsity sports. Yep. You have to have a 3.5, which is a B+ or better, and you have to be involved in your community and community organization. So here were these kids, and there were kids from West, including, and I know that he'd be school board member Gerard would be more modest and wouldn't want to mention, but I think we should recognize that his son, who's a senior, was one of those receiving an award. Yep. And so anyway, so then, and I said this earlier, I also have to say there was a piece. There were 4 speakers went up. One of them, who was my daughter, went up to speak about the student protest issue, and they went to address the issues from the previous meeting, where some school board members were saying students were misinformed and uninformed, and they ought to be, that we're the adults, they're the children, and all that sort of narrative. And it was wonderful, not just because my daughter happened to be one of them, but to hear students from Manchester standing up, speaking eloquently, I think I would say, and saying, we want the right to peacefully speak our minds too. So at the end of all of that is what I thought, without making it onto a big come-by-a moment, right? This was a wonderful example of the best of our young people in the city for sports, for athletics, for academics, for social involvement, for everything. And then, and I said this when I did my show earlier, I was talking to Sue Hannon, who actually is a friend of mine. She's the president of the MEA, the Manchester Education Association. And Sue went up, and it was incongruous. Like she hit the wrong note, I think, last night, because she was the last person to go up and speak after all the awards and everything else. And she was very nice, and she's a nice person, but she there's an issue about the contract, and Dr. Vargas wants to change the starting day for schools, so that the schools open the Tuesday morning after Labor Day, and not have a gap of a day where parents are looking for babysitters and all the rest of it. Yeah. And Sue went up and said, we've talked about this on the union side, and our associations talked about it, and our executive, and we've decided, this is part of the contract. It was signed, it's legally binding, and we don't want to budge. And I'm like, come on,
I have a question about the awards. Do those typically run? Do the awards typically run at City Hall, or is that new?
No, it just happened to be there was a lot of them last night. Okay. So every school board meeting, first of all, somebody from one of the schools or a group of kids is brought to represent. Usually they're grade schoolers, most often than not, who come and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah. And then every school board meeting starts with awards. And we have 14,500 kids. Is a lot of kids. Yeah. So there's actually awards.
I would think we need a bigger venue for it, and we should do something quarterly in the city to kind of recognize them.
It would be there was talk about doing a citywide, and Ross has joined us, so perhaps Ross would know. There was talk at some point. Hi, Ross, how are you?
Howdy, Jim.
There was talk at some point.
Céad
Míle Mahagat. Lá Philip Hodrick, etc. We're doing the Gaelic for the. But anyway, I was just talking about last night, and I was explaining that it was a night when there was a lot of awards, a lot of people got a lot of stuff, and it was just a wonderful example of great things in our schools happening.
Yeah.
So there was a discussion at some point in the past about having a citywide, like the schools do their sports awards and things at the end of each quarter. Wasn't there some discussion about doing I just tried to drag it from my memory now, about doing like a citywide award night or something?
I think that'd be great in the city.
I don't remember that. It's possible, I just don't remember that.
Yeah.
Like you said, 14,000 students?
There's 14,500.
14,500. I think we could definitely find a venue.
And actually, if you want to be more expansive in your thinking, and you include homeschoolers and public charter schools, before you ever get to private schools, just public charter schools and homeschoolers, because a lot of kids who are homeschooled in the city of Manchester come to our public schools for arts, music, and sports. And actually, most people probably know this. Certainly, homeschoolers know it because they learn it when they begin this process. That if you are a resident of whatever area in Manchester and you homeschool your kids, you can still send your kids to public school for whatever. If you decided you couldn't do one particular thing, you could do that. But if you go to choir, band, art, theatre, and all the sports, you'll find kids there from
the home
these
schools.
other things. So when you go to that, you get to 14,500. Now you get to so that gets you another 1,500 or 2,500 altogether between charter schools and homeschoolers. I think it's around 2,000 or something like that. It's somewhere in there. Like it's a big number. It's not a so there's a lot of kids. But you know what? So this idea though of having something to celebrate every month, every 2 weeks often, is a good thing. It's a healthy way to start sometimes it's something very small. Sometimes there's a lot, like there was last night. They were handing out stuff for things. So anyway, last night's meeting, you were there for all of it, I'm sure.
1:30 morning. Yeah.
1:30?
Yeah, it was when it ended.
How long did you went to closed session? How long did that? You went into private session at around 8:30, 9 o'clock? And I left at that point because.
So we went to private session, then we came back out, and then we ended the night in private.
Oh, you did?
In non-public. So, but we got out of there about 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
It was brutal.
That's brutal.
I was exhausted.
What was the private session? Was it negotiations? Was it?
Multiple things. Meeting with our lawyers over different legal matters. Negotiations is another thing with the unions.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, it's fine, I guess. It's not fine. I think it's dysfunctional, Perhaps it can't be helped, but it's...
like Otto von Bismarck said, it's like making sausages, right? It's not pretty.
Right, yeah.
It's democracy.
Yeah. Yes, no, that's true. But but there is a point. I'll tell you, after Mayor Joyce Craig became mayor, I communicated with her, I think it's true to say once, I don't know, but I believe it's once. I sent her a message at the end of the first meeting, and it was a kind of congratulatory message saying, it's great, great to see you there, and, and well done, because it was a very concise meeting. Now, it turns out it was a concise meeting because of the subject matter. I thought she'd done a wonderful job of sort of managing it. But it turns out it wasn't her wonderful management, I think now. It was just the subjects that were on that night, and it lent itself to a quick meeting right after Christmas. Because my point, without hogging the whole, is I think nobody should be limited in their speech, right? And we try to constrain people from saying it. But going back to whoever the people may be, I believe meetings should be executive sessions. You do your homework beforehand. If there's something you need to bring up with the department head, if you're an alderman, you ask the department head. If it's a school board, ask the school board, ask the superintendent, and then you bring things to the meeting that are germane to what's on the agenda.
Like Kabuki Theater.
Yeah, right. So having this sort of non-ending sort of discussion about everybody's deep thoughts is frustrating for people like you, I'm sure, sitting there.
Like Jack Kerouac or James Joyce, that kind of stream of consciousness.
Stream of consciousness. James, my favorite book, right? Ulysses.
Oh, I hate that book. I read it, but I hated that book. But I got a question for John.
This
and I got
Side
a question,
of Paradise. Huh?
Yeah, I'm reading because my son has to read it, so I have to quiz him on it. So I have a question
Nothing
for John
dirty in
and
that.
for Jim.
Okay.
So
You're getting off tonight.
Well, Jim, you're going to have to
well,
pick
she's
your
a
side.
Republican, so she's like me.
Yeah.
So
I got it.
this is no.
And this show is supposed to be about Elizabeth. You're my co-host.
Wow.
I'm just
So
here to
I have
listen. I like to hear
question
everything.
about Joyce, and I like Joyce as a human being. I like Joyce. She is
Are
definitely.
we talking
new-
James Joyce now or Joyce Craig?
Joyce
Which Joyce?
Craig. Actually, I don't
That was
like
a nice
Joyce the
segue.
writer. He was an excellent writer.
Yeah.
But his stories are just mind-numbingly. Ugh. But anyway.
We'll do Joyce another night. So
sure
this
on
is
this
Joyce
end.
Craig we're
Joyce
talking to.
Craig, the mayor. So,
Yes.
so I like her as a human being. She's
Yeah.
a very nice person.
Yeah.
There's definitely a new. There's obviously a new sheriff in
Yeah.
town. She brings a different substance to the office. But here's my question to you, to both of you. We haven't really seen anything from what I've heard people say this. Besides her substance and style, there's no difference between what Teddy was doing and what she was doing, and I'd like your opinion on that.
Okay.
That people are commenting on. And I think you alluded to
What
that
people are
recently. Random Manchester Dennis.
People who know things.
Like the people we were talking about before.
So
the
I'll
camera
tell.
got
So
on.
I'll
Sitting
tell
on the
you.
board.
I think one of the answers to that we'll find out tomorrow night, because if Joyce, I understand her constraints. I understand, there were people who, frankly, to use the word, lied about her during her campaign and said that things are going to go nuts. She's going to spend like crazy. We'll find out. She said she won't. She said she'll obey the tax cap, and she's going to present a tax cap budget. Now, if she does that and doesn't say any more, then really you'll be saying, what's the difference? That Ted Gatzis was a competent pair of hands.
Yeah.
There was no question. I never questioned Ted Gatzis' competency and ability to do the job. He and I were at loggerheads, many perhaps would be sure, on the school board issue. But I expect Joyce to show her what she's made of tomorrow night and stand up and say, here's the tax cap budget. It isn't right for our schools. If this is what we do for our schools, we'll be doing a significant disservice to our schools. Now, if she's able to find some magic savings in the budget somewhere else, that we'll all be laughing. That'll be great. If she's find some magical, genie pot with money in it and gold on the beach, that'll be great. But if she can't find those other two things, and this is what I was saying at the end a while ago, it's all political bravery.
Yeah.
People who say, well, she'll be a one-term mayor if she does that. I have no problem with her being a one-term mayor. I mean, I wish she wasn't, because I was a supporter of hers. But in the end, I just don't want a different person sitting at the front table. That's one answer. The second part I would answer would be this, though. I think there's a difference, and I don't mean to be unkind to Mayor Gatzis. I could say lots of nice things about him, but I don't want to be playing games, right? Besides the fact that he couldn't see beyond, I'm not going to spend it. That's being pejorative. He would never. This is what we'll make do. When there was 40 kids in the classroom, it's like we'll find a way around this, not that we'll actually fix the problem. But the other thing was this issue of sort of call it bullying. That would be the negative way of describing it. Others might have said he was a strong man who portrayed strongness or whatever.
I think
else.
some of the egos were getting in the way during some of their meetings.
He wasn't a collaborative person, right? And you saw the way he dealt with the surrounding towns, the way he dealt with people who came before the thing. Not always, and not every time. He's a very likable guy sometimes, but it was his way or the highway. That's a substantial difference that I think we'll see with Joyce over time. I'm hoping we'll see collaboration between the major towns like Nashua, Portsmouth, Concord, and Manchester. We'll see a unity between those, that we'll get a better voice in Concord, protesting on behalf of the municipalities and the cities and urban life in New Hampshire. I'd hope to see some of that. So I'm hoping for a lot. What we've seen in the first 3 months, there's not a substantial difference that I could point to today. So if we're judging her on the first 90 days or whatever this is right now, I think the differences are around the edges. I don't see she's not like, yes, a new sheriff in town, but I don't see her State of the Union, rail, bike trails. Joe Kelly Lavasse was sort of mocking her, I think, if I'm right. He was the one who was saying,
a little bit.
this is what we heard, and this is what we heard. But that's been true to herself. She is not saying that's all I'm going to do for the city. So I don't know. We'll see.
Like the band The Who.
But I can tell you, I've got to leave on
the
this.
Englishman, who had a line that once said, "Meet the new boss, same as the old boss."
Same as the old boss,
Well,
yeah.
supposedly
Another day, a different time.
tomorrow.
So I have to leave, but I can tell you, I got some pushback about, because I complained about, I've been talked about.
I saw that you were upset.
Well, was I? So I don't usually get upset.
Well,
Yeah, in a
came
way
across
that
as
was
being
more upset than I ever say with Ted Gatzis.
Well,
Think a little sexism's involved?
Me?
No.
Are you kidding me? No,
see it
I
with-
make
I
an
was-
analogy. I make an analogy to the Spanish Civil War.
Oh, I love this. Okay, good.
To Jim.
Yeah. Guernica and all that.
You had the loyalists and what were the two?
The Republicans and the
Republicans were actually communists. In the spirit of war.
No, that's too simple.
It is true.
But here's my take on it, and Jim will appreciate this analogy. The Republicans were harsh to the fascists, to the Franklin.
Okay. Yep.
But they were even harsher to their fellow Republicans. If you read the history of the Spanish Civil War, they were killing and torturing their own people. Oh, you're not communist enough. You're not,
the purity test.
That was Stalin.
Yeah, they weren't pure enough.
And sadly, there were Irish regiments on both sides, right? There were people left Ireland and went to 1936,
just like the American Civil War.
They went, and they went and fought on both sides. And there's some. My daughter's in Spain right now, sort of steeped in the middle of Spanish history and Spanish stuff. But actually, she's in Italy tonight, but she's spending 6 months in Spain, so we're doing a lot of speaking Spanish. But I was going to say, I got into trouble with people who said that that I sort of went after Joyce Craig somewhat.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you, because there are Democrats who are giving her a blank. If Teddy did those things, they would have ripped him a new one.
Right.
And now that Joyce is doing certain things, a tax cap budget,
right,
or with the schools,
she has to deliver a tax cap.
True, but when Teddy did those things, they ripped him a new one.
Right.
Joyce are cutting her some slack. I appreciate your candor in that you went after Teddy.
Yeah.
And I know you were a Joyce supporter, but now you
didn't
give her
any slack.
a blank.
I got complaints out to my show last week from people saying, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm not changing my story. We've got I have to go, but we've got the least well-funded schools in the state of New Hampshire. I don't know how any public representative, I know there's two of them here, I don't know how any public representative in the city of Manchester could read the union leader for the multiple year in a row 2 weeks ago and look down the list of 160 something school districts and find Manchester at the bottom in terms of the number of kids per teacher, in the terms of the amount of dollars, and nobody's ready to say, stop everything, we got to fix this problem.
As far as the budget goes, I believe it was said maybe at the State of the Union of the city, or somewhere in the Union Leader I read that she'll be proposing the tax cap budget on the wish items.
Right.
Now, with a majority on the board, those wish items can become to fruition, whether she proposes the tax cap budget or not. And I think that's kind of the end for those things that her supporters wanted.
I'm going to keep banging the same drum.
Tax cap budget is about 168. The wish budget brings it up close to 170.
But again, it depends on how you do the tax. So if you go,
okay,
if you go,
Jim, you got to go for
right.
your son.
I'm being thrown out by John. Censorship. I protest.
To know who she is.
We'll have to do it again. We'll do it again. You have to come on my show sometime. We'll talk. Thank you guys. And as always, we do appreciate your service. Right? Sit here and chirp in the television studio, but I know you're out there doing the work. I appreciate that.
Yeah, have a good night.
Yeah, thanks. See you guys.
Take care,
John. Thank you for your time.
Bye, Jim.
I appreciate it. Do you want a microphone?
No, she's fine. There's one right down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll just
There it is.
Elizabeth Moreau, once we get camera on you, tell the city who you are.
So I'm Elizabeth Moreau from Ward 6, 115 Brookfield Drive. I won the special election in September. I started my first full term in January of this year. I have 2 children, a son and daughter, a 7-year-old and a newborn. My fiance, I'm an Army veteran. I was a medic.
Yes, Army.
And it's been a trip.
That's a combat MOS. I was in the Marine Corps back in the 80s.
68
Women
whiskey.
couldn't be in combat roles back then.
Yep, I was actually with the military police company overseas, so
Excellent.
it's a good time.
Oh, I was
Great
in
experience.
MI, so we're always co-located
Yep.
with military police.
What
It's
was
the
your-
98 series.
What was your job specialty?
SIGINT analyst. We listened into Mother Russia.
So
Well,
you're
in a tactical.
Yes.
kind of a spy, like.
Well, signals intelligence, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think you'd use that term. But
I was in the Marine Corps. I was 0341, which is mortars.
Yeah.
Oh, a mortar man.
Yeah. I wanted to be a machine gunner, but all they had was mortar jobs. I was in the reserves down in Cape Cod, and all they had were mortar positions open. So
Yeah.
I got what they gave me. At least I wasn't a cook, though. They had lots of cook positions, and I did not want to do that.
Well, you were a rifleman too.
Yep, we learned how to use our rifle, and
You know, it's 33 years ago today. I went into the Army. I could have waited 2 months. I went in as an enlisted man and become an Air Force officer, but I was running away from my girlfriend at the time. So, jeez, it's so stupid. Wait a few months, then you go on to Randolph Air Force Base and become a Air Force officer.
Yeah.
But
Where to go for, officer versus enlisted.
yes, my brother, who's an enlisted man, was trying to tell me that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to anybody. It's one of those cherchez la femme, you know. Let's not get into that.
Who's cherchez la femme?
Cherchez la femme means find the woman. It's just
Oh,
one
oh,
of
oh.
those French phrases. I grew up in a French-speaking neighborhood, Ross.
On the west side, right?
He hides out. He's hiding the fact that he's French Canadian.
I don't hide it. I tell everybody.
Yes, you changed the spelling of your name, so it's more Italian.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's Italian, but it is actually French.
My name's John Claude Hopwood, and I'm part French Canadian. But you're not from. Are you from New Hampshire?
I was born in Lawrence, but I grew up
Oh.
as a young person in Pelham, Atkinson, that area.
Okay.
There's a lot of French Canadians in Mass, which is
Yeah.
where my
Yeah.
family is from.
Rhode
My
Island.
stepfather's name is Moreau, so that's why I have that name. And my husband, I'm marrying into a French Canadian family. So
But Lawrence
Really?
and Lowell
Yeah.
and all the mill towns who had tons of French Canadians.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maine, but and like I said, Rhode Island. But what brought you to New Hampshire?
well, I was in New Hampshire before I left for the military, and I did 5.5 years. I got out of the military on a medical discharge. So I got out, I had a daughter, I had to get a job real quick.
Yeah.
The jobs in Virginia weren't paying enough to support my daughter and myself, so I looked for openings up here, and one popped up.
What
And-
What do you do for a
Well,
career?
originally I came back to the VA hospital.
Oh,
That was a
okay.
highly frustrating experience with what goes on there, and
Yes, I'm I'm DAV, disabled.
I worked at the mental health unit there as a clerk, and then I worked in the call center, which is even more frustrating because people don't get the care that they need sometimes.
So you didn't see me anytime rampaging through there?
Probably not. I might have heard about you, but
Yeah.
it was hard transferring calls to people that didn't want to answer their phones or didn't want to take care of the patients the right way.
I have a funny story about the VA. My neighbor, God bless her, Claire Jacob, her husband, who had fought in World War II, who worked at the VA, he was a practical joker, and they had a security guard that was scared to death. So I work at the hospital. So the hospital I work at, it seems like security guards get the job. They're like the morgue. They have to get the dead bodies.
Yeah.
And I guess they used to do that at the VA too.
a
So
wonderful-
this guy was afraid. He hated getting the dead bodies. So somebody got on the thing. They said, "Oh, you have a dead body to get," but it wasn't a dead body. So they used to play jokes on this guy. I don't know if it was Roger Jacob or one of his friends. So they put him on the
Gurney.
with the thing over him, pretending he was dead. So the security guard comes to get him, and he jumps up. Oh,
He got a
the
heart
guy scared the hell out of the poor guy, and he ran away.
Okay. Sounds like the Three Stooges.
It was.
Yeah.
How long have you been living in Manchester?
Since I came back to New Hampshire out of the military, so 2012 I got out.
Okay.
I came back September 2012. I was living on Amory Street there for a while because I wasn't really familiar with Manchester at the time. And it might have used to have been a good neighborhood, but there was a lot of gang activities and shootings, and just wasn't working out there for me and my daughter.
Emery, is that on the west side?
West Side by the pizza, Amory Street Pizza.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of activity out that door. So
Yeah.
And then I met my fiance. We moved in together, and we've been living over on the east side now.
That's a
East
step
si-
up. Moving on up to the east side.
I'm a West Sider. Never lived
Not
any.
anymore, though, are you?
Well, where do you think I live?
I don't know.
What rumors is Joe Lavasser spreading now?
No.
Are you still on the west side?
Yes, I'm in the old family homestead.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm up near St. A's, which
Yep.
was great. I used to work.
So you're 12, Ward 12, right?
No, Ward 10. Was a stringer for Yahoo News. So even when I was in Washington, I would be covering the New Hampshire primary. I'd just go visit my mother, and then so much happens in St. A's.
Yeah.
I would just I'd park the car, no problems, walk up there. What made you get into politics? Is this your first elected office?
This is my first elected office.
Oh, second? Actually,
well,
technically.
Second. My first elected position.
She won a special election, then she won the general election.
Yes.
Same office.
Yeah.
See, Ross is the only person that can harass me, make fun of me, and the PTSD I don't go like crazy. I don't know why.
So we should bring Steve Valancourt back.
Let's not get into that. His ghost is probably still with us. But this was really the first elected position, and you won in Ward 6 of all places.
And Alderman, pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Well, the seat was vacated, so it made it a little bit easier for anyone that was putting their name in. We had just settled into Ward 6. We bought our, forever home. It's perfect house for us to raise our kids in, good school districts. And we're going to be there a while. And I was reading the newspaper, it was open, and there was all this election stuff happening. And I didn't really see anyone that was running that I wanted to represent me in my ward.
Who was running after Nick Pappas? Was there another Republican, or were you just
Ricker? There was another Republican.
There was
Ricker?
Van Orden. I think was Republican, and then there was McConey. Marcone. McCone.
Oh, Ricker must have been.
Ricker was a different ward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you just had to win, but it was no primary. It's just who came in.
No, there was.
There was a primary. So we had 2 ballots the first time around for the special, and then we had one for the primary. You had to win both to continue on, kind of.
Kind of like the gubernatorial election in California.
Yeah, it was weird. Now, the first time you won, how many votes did you win by?
I think it was 100 and something. It was a bigger margin than it was at the end.
Because when you won the general, I was actually at your recount.
Yeah, it was like 23 votes.
That was close. I brought a friend of mine, Michelle Nolan, she loved it. To first recount. It was exciting. It was so close. It was.
It's exciting for him, but I bet it wasn't as exciting for you until it was all over.
Well, they said the numbers at the day of the general. I was like, oh my god, But
that's pretty.
Yeah.
How many votes did you lose? Or gain?
Well, the thing is, there was kind of 2 Republicans. I believe Van Orden was kind of in the middle, pulling some Democrats and Republicans, so it kind of skewed the numbers into the primary.
But in November, how many?
I lost maybe 2.
Yeah.
No, I gained 2, I think.
You never really lose or gain that many. Like machines are very accurate.
Yeah.
Well, who didn't what's his name? Baines versus.
That was a close 4 votes.
Mm-hmm.
The chairman of the board, the former chairman of the board, Pat Long.
Yep.
And then the other one, Deb Gagnon-Langton versus Scannell.
Yeah, that was close. Wasn't that like
6 or 7? No, 6 or 7 votes changed though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just don't fill out the cards correctly. They circle the name, or they triple circle something if they're really intent on someone getting elected, or there's
I've
100 different things that they do.
I had a recount with Tammy Simmons, and she won, of course. But geez, when you see, people do every type of permutation.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like a state rep race, and there's 2, and you can vote either party. There's no logic to the voters. They vote for Dan and me.
Yep.
Tim Smith was a real liberal, and Tammy.
Yeah.
Then you go, oh, me and Tim, Tammy and Dan, and then it all starts again. All these different, or they'll just vote for Tammy, or they'll just vote for Tim.
A good point is me and John DePietro were kind of running on like a ticket, school board and alderman, and at some point, I don't know if people stopped voting at the school board level, or there was like 100 people difference between the amount of votes, and then I guess because Bergeron has been there a long time, so you didn't have the name recognition and things like that.
Yeah, you'll see people drop off if you go. If you ever run for a state office after like governor and stuff.
Yep.
It just
because
Republicans vote a better voting down ticket than a Democrat.
But because every election I'll go through my ward results, both state and local, and you'll notice that everybody will vote for the big offices, president, mayor. But as they get down to the poor people on the end, they'll lose 100 or 200 votes just because people don't really care about those races and they just give up. They don't. They care about the big things.
Yeah, Ross and I, we ran, in this town of Litchfield.
Yeah,
Geez, how they didn't come through for me.
Backstabber. I thought he was supporting me because I came on his crappy show and forget his support. And I go there. I'm like, oh, this is John. He's going to be holding my sign. And I see my opponent's sign in his hand, the bastard.
Well,
Took the knife out my back.
That's my family's hometown, and they didn't exactly come out for me in the election. I only got a third of the vote, and I delivered the Memorial Day speech every because my grandfather.
That was the only place I won was Litchfield.
Yeah, you did. It's really the only place?
Because it's a Senate district. Yeah, so I lost all of Manchester, but I won Litchfield.
Well, we'll see what we can do next time.
Actually, to talk about that, if Donna runs again, I don't think I would run
again, from what I understand.
Well, actually, I was going to talk to you about that because this is my suspicion So Chris Pappas is moving up to, very popular, moving up to run for Congress.
Yes.
That's going to open up an executive council seat. I was suspecting that Donna was going to go for his executive council seat.
I don't know anybody that's running for. Oh, Garth Corbo's running for executive council.
For the 4th district?
Yeah, he used to
Did
be the
Foster
alderman
say?
from
Ward
6.
6.
Then he moved
Yeah.
to 12.
I went to law school with Garth. I'm friends
You
with
did?
Garth. Yeah, we get along
He's
I
well.
a
spoke
great
to him
guy.
recently.
Yeah, I like Garth. He's a nice guy. No, but he's on the West. Oh yeah, it'd
He's
still
at
be
12.
executive 4 though. It'd still
Yeah.
be the same thing. So Donna's going to stick in her Senate seat.
From what I've heard, but I don't know.
If that's the case, and I probably wouldn't run again because I lost by 10% in a good Republican year.
Yeah.
She spent 130,000. I spent 4,000. It's just it
She
takes
has a lot
money.
of money.
Yeah.
She's well known. It would be
Well
kind
connected. She's
Yeah.
connected. I'm sure she's
She's very friendly
the
with,
DNC,
with Chris and Ray and Kathy Sullivan. And,
which
and-
means the DNC.
and to unseat
Yeah.
her would be almost impossible. So if she runs again, I probably won't run. Now, if it's an open seat, I'll probably run.
Yeah, who would
Ish.
run? I don't know who'd run for the Democrats if it was open.
Well, I mean, it's 5.
I don't
6
really know.
It's,
It's not the West Side.
it's 5, 6,
Like I
7.
was
So it's
saying,
wards
on
5,
Facebook.
6, 7, 8, 9 in Litchfield. They have plenty
Oh,
of
because
people.
then Pat Lung's not from 4.
3.
is he?
He's from 3.
Yeah, because
You
he
got
would.
Ben Baruti,
He would be if Lou Dallas.
Dave Gelinas ran in the past. You've got Kathy Sullivan's sister, Mary Heath could run. Mary Freitas, but she probably wouldn't. But I think Mary Heath might run. You got tons of Democrats.
Elizabeth represents a new generation. You do.
I'm going to call it a
You're
new
in-
generation. I feel a lot older than I am. So
You're a millennial, right?
You're in your 30s.
I
right?
just turned 30 in
Right.
October, so I feel like I'm about 45 though. So
After being on the board of all the men.
well, about
yeah.
60 after this, quarter. But with the military experience and my life experiences, I feel like I'm a little bit older than most people in my generation. So different insights.
Did you go overseas?
I did.
Did you go to Iraq?
I did. Just not even with the deployment, just having been in the military gives you, more respect, more attention to detail, just more responsibility at a very young age. And I think that's helped me a lot throughout my life and career.
Now, what are you doing for a living now?
I work at Homeland Security Immigrations.
Okay.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Do you know Lisa Freeman's husband's working in?
Yep. We're co-workers.
Oh, okay. So you know Neil.
Okay, when you have your own show, you two can chat.
All right, hey, okay. I've been meaning to ask you this. I've been meaning to ask you this, John. I'm gonna be a little bit mean, but try to be funny.
Okay, as I go over here and
There was a picture
Yes.
of you online in a meeting. You were the youngest and thinnest person in the meeting.
what meeting was that?
To try to be mean and funny, I'm going to say it was an elderly Weight Watchers meeting, but
Where was
it
this
was
picture
probably
from?
the Democratic Party over at St. A's. Were you at some Democratic meeting? A lot of heavy people and older. It must have been like the New Hampshire Democrats or the Manchester
You
Democrats.
sure I wasn't up at? I testified
Looked
up
like
at
at St. A's.
up at whatchamacallit.
No, there was
Concord Clown College. That's what I call it.
oh, maybe it was. It was a bunch of heavy older people sitting around. I thought it was a Democratic meeting that you were at.
I testified. What was I testifying about? Jeez, I don't even remember.
No, everybody was
something came about PTSD in the
No, it was
military.
online.
Yeah.
They said it was a Democratic meeting. Were you at a Democratic meeting the last few months?
No. How's
okay,
that
sorry.
for?
But it was a
Yeah.
picture of you online. I saw you, and then I was like, oh.
No, I didn't go to any.
You weren't supporting a candidate somewhere? Did you go to a candidate's
Oh,
meeting?
you mean to vote for the new? Yeah, but St. A's. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's okay. That's
It was a vote
For the
who's going to
Democrat,
be
picking-
the
yeah.
head of the party.
yeah. I saw you there.
Yeah,
a
my
lot
candidate
of lot of
was.
older people, a lot of heavyset people.
Well, that's a terrible thing to call Bob Backus.
Well,
He's a lawyer. He
He's
went
a
to
nice
Harvard. He
guy.
went to Harvard. Right?
I only went to UNH. I'm not that.
Franklin Pierce.
Yes.
I'd like the name Franklin Pierce better than UNH.
Well.
Don't you?
Yeah, that's I went there. That's what it was, Franklin Pierce. Although he wasn't the greatest of presidents, but
Well, what can you do? You know?
It's a nice rank to a degree, though.
Hey, what committees are you on?
I'm on Lands and Buildings and Youth and Drug Services.
So you're with
committees.
Bill Barry's committee.
Yeah.
Did you pick that? Did Joyce put you, or who put you on?
Those were Joyce's choices for the committees, and then there were special committees that were assigned by Dan O'Neill because he's the head of the board.
Right. Did you?
Airport committee too.
Oh, so you're on the airport. That's
Yeah. It's interesting. We're kind of trying to redefine it. I think Cataldo's trying to redefine what it is, what we do, and be more involved.
Did you get to ask for what committees you're on?
You can give a suggestion of what you'd like to be on. I said HR, and I can do anything else you need me to do, and that didn't happen. But
is HR important?
Well, I want to hammer on the Jagerdecker and trying to get a pay scale to cover everyone, so we're not at these, they get paid 3%. I want 3%. I want this. Everyone gets the same, but it's on one scale. It's doable, but it's gonna be a lot of work.
Yeah, that would be. It always seems doable, Jagerdecker, but it never happens.
Yeah, it's because you have to. There's so many different moving pieces, but people say you can't have one pay scale for all these different positions, and you can. The years experience, the level of responsibility, supervisor versus non-supervisor, it's doable. It just takes time.
Did you read the thing about Jim Roy in the paper?
No, but we can get to that because let me just focus on that.
Yeah.
I would think that because you were a medic, that would be being on Bill Barry's committee because that deals with the drug plague.
Yep, and it deals with the kids and helping them.
I would think that would be good for you to be on that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the meeting, the last Alderman meeting. I think I was on the committee, and at some point we were talking about the DARE program and how it was traumatizing to some people, how they're terrified of it, and
the DARE program.
I love the DARE program when I was a kid. Scare tactics. They used scare tactics. I think is the word that they used. And,
I went through one in like 1970 where we all laughed.
Did it work?
It's good. It's friendly. It gets you interacting with the police officers, and it gives you a little bit of background, especially for elementary school. I love the idea of bringing that in for elementary. And it's not that expensive compared to all the other programs we spend money on.
No, the program we have is just a 16 millimeter film. And don't take acid because the girl takes acid and then she looks in her hot dog turns into a Cupid doll, if you know what they are, the little troll doll or something. It's like everybody's like laughing out loud. That was about it.
Like Reefer Madness.
Yeah,
it was up there.
Remember that one?
Oh yeah, but that was in college days. So, but DARE is a program with police.
They get you send the police officers to get trained. They go and they're at the elementary schools. They give classes. They give certain auditorium events for the school. It's highly informative, and it gets the kids used to see something, say something. The officers there, they get that comfort in knowing them personally. And there's a lot of people that oppose it for certain reasons, and I can't say that I agree with the opposition.
How do you like being an alderman? Alderwoman, but
Alderman.
It's an alderman. An alderman.
It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of fortitude and mental strength sometimes.
And the reason why I ask is because the first time I've been a state rep now. I've been on the school board. And have you ever been elected?
No, I've never been elected.
So you have all these ideas. I'm going to get in. I'm going to do all these things, and then you get in, and your eyes open. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. It's you cannot know what it's about until you actually get elected.
Yep.
I mean, did you experience that?
It's a little of everything. You have to know zoning. You have to know snow removal. You got to know how to contact the department heads. You have to know. You have to learn how to do the budget, what's in the budget, how to look at all the line items, interacting with the other aldermen to get information. It's a highly intricate process. Everything.
How quickly were you accepted?
They're all the aldermen were awesome. Just walking ahead, O'Neill on my right and Sapien's on my left, and any questions I have about the process or what's going on, they help me get into the flow of things. And then Keith Hirschman and Lavasser too. If I need some detailed questions, or they're more than willing to sit down and go over stuff.
Yeah, Keith would be helpful.
Yep.
Because one of the things that an alderman does really, where like Joe is an alderman at large, is potholes.
Yep.
Because the biggest thing you ever hear during an election, everybody says, "Oh, that's an issue."
Yeah.
Crime, streets. Everybody talks about the streets.
We have the C-Click Fix app with Manchester Connect, where you can report the potholes, and usually they take care of them within a day or two, which is a great app. Where you can just download on your phone, say pothole here, you drop the arrow on the map, and then they come by and fix it.
So you don't have to go to your alderman.
It saves me some phone calls, and I get phone calls all day, every day, morning, noon, night, midnight.
So it's pretty busy.
Yeah, I can see why some people don't put their cell phones out there for people, but it's good.
Some people, I don't think Billy Shea has a cell phone. Does he still got the hand crank?
Bill's his big thing is constituent services. He's told me he gets thousands of phone calls.
Yep.
Oh, that's the
I mean,
most.
over the years.
Yeah.
I hate this, but that is the most. An
Yeah.
alderman interfacing with people that have needs,
Yeah.
not just potholes, but different things with the city.
Yeah.
Zoning is a big thing, of course. but
Zoning,
that's a
definitely.
Are you an alternate on the planning board or the zoning board?
Planning board.
Okay, we'll get to that a little later.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to ask you about: do you think your pay is adequate for an alderman? I don't even know, what is your pay.
It's
5,000?
it's 5,000, so like 4,000 after taxes. I would do the position without the pay
Right,
if I had to. It's more or less just having the ability to voice an opinion and help people.
Yeah,
so-
but I think that for all the work,
It's more work than I think a lot of people know about. I had a phone call from one lady last fall who called and thought she was calling my secretary. I'm like, ma'am, I don't have a secretary. I don't work at City Hall from 9 to 5. This is, I work at 9 to 5 outside of City Hall, and then I do this weekends, nights, mornings. And she was kind of blown away by that. I'm like, there's no secretaries for any of us.
it's true. People, it's some people when. The people that are going to work in the budget, I don't know if you're working the budget, but 30 hours in easily.
Yep.
Mike Lopez, it's a little before
I
your
met with
time.
him too at the VFW, I think.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah. I forget,
I like
Mr.
Mike.
Veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about you can put 30,
Yep.
35 hours in when you're putting
Easily.
together that budget. What about the benefits? Did you take the benefits?
I did not take the benefits. I ran a campaign on not taking them. I believe just on the alderman board, it cost the city $120,000 to cover the alderman that did take it.
About the same on the school board, about
Yeah.
110, 120.
So about $200,000 in health insurance benefits for a position that's less than half time. We do a lot of work, but
See, I think that they should
just-
take the benefits. I think you should just get more pay and no benefits.
they need
You
to
know,
cap it out because some people are
right.
getting $30,000 worth of benefits,
Right.
and we don't give that to people that work part time or people that do per diem. Why would an alderman get it?
Well, it was part of the way to get people to run
Yeah.
because the pay was so poor.
Well,
But if you gave an extra, like if they got 10, everybody got 10,000, and you could take the extra, you could take the $5,000, and
That'd probably be
if you
cheaper
need
overall
it.
for the city.
It would be,
But honestly,
yeah.
I can't say for everyone, but I do it without it.
Oh yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but it would seem more rational just
Yeah.
to give everybody 10,000,
Yeah.
rather than like this person's getting like $23,000 in benefits,
Yeah.
and you're not getting,
Yeah.
you're only, it's. But so much in Manchester isn't rational. But like you said about democracies, right?
like making
Everything else
sausages.
is,
Yeah.
who said that? It's a word. Winston Churchill. It's a lousy system, but there's nothing better than
Yeah,
it.
democracy is the worst. It's the worst system, but it's better than everything else. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yes. He didn't have to contend with Stalinists like they did in.
Well, he met Stalin
Oh, yes.
at Potsdam.
Okay, you
Yalta.
come on the radio show and we'll talk about Spain and the Stalinists. Yes. Oh, let's just see what time we. Do you, anybody have a watch?
Yeah.
7:46.
It's about 10 of, yeah.
7:46.
Goes quick.
What do you want to? And then we'll get to other things. But what would you like to accomplish in the next? What's a year really?
Accomplish being on the Youth and Drug Services Committee. I'd like to try to attempt to bring DARE back at least for a trial.
So we don't have that. It's,
No, we used to have them in the schools, and at some point it went away. And I think that would be great to help our younger children avoid the same choices that our, my generation is messing up in the city. It tends to be 20, 30-year-olds that are on these drugs, that are doing these crazy things. Let's help their children not make the same choices. And I'd also like to hammer on Jagerdecker. I know it's going to take years, and it's going to take a lot of cooperation from a lot of people. And we need to think about what's good for our employees and what's great for the city, too.
Now, be honest with us, Elizabeth. In next election cycle in the city, are you going to try to take on Joyce for mayor?
That's amusing. I have a newborn, so that's not going to happen anytime in the near future.
I know.
So
Keith,
And I don't know. I
So
need
you're
to
not
learn
ruling
more.
it out, though.
No,
we already
I
got
need to learn more.
And Keith Hirschman and Gerard.
Yeah.
And then maybe Joe always told me he wanted it. What Joe told me once? Oh, everybody wants to be mayor.
No.
I certainly don't.
I think someone who runs for it needs to
Glenn
have
does.
plenty of experience, and I don't have that yet.
You'll have it after
I-
this term.
I
No.
can't think of any job I would like less than being mayor of Manchester. Mayor of maybe like, Beverly Hills or something.
The mayor of Manchester actually has a fair amount of power compared to the governor. Governor of New Hampshire with the executive council does
Right.
not have a lot of power. It's a very weak
Yeah.
position.
Yeah,
I mean, I
but,
like Governor Sununu.
Beverly Hills doesn't have as many troubles as Manchester.
Listen, I was shocked. So I had a school board meeting tonight. So I walked down from City Hall to here, and I'm a few minutes late. The number of homeless people laying on the side, I couldn't believe it. I haven't been downtown. Usually I go to the meetings and then, go home. So I haven't walked around downtown in a few months, but I walked from here. I couldn't. Every few hundred feet, there was another homeless person laying on the sidewalk. It's cold outside.
There was a great event last Friday about the sleep out program, and
I was there.
You were there.
You were going to be there.
I was going to be there. My son got the RSV virus, and it just wasn't working out last week. But I raised $200.
We got 10 minutes.
They raised about $240,000 towards youth homelessness, which is a great amount. It's
and
great.
You helped raise money.
I tried, here and there, just on Facebook, and I got $200 in towards it. I know the mayor joined in, and some other department heads, I think.
Joyce got about 10,000, and
there
was one guy that raised an incredible amount of money.
Governor Sununu showed up, right?
Oh yeah, he was there.
Jimmy LaHoo raised a lot of money through his company, and I forget, like 20 or 30, I'm thinking, thousand.
Yeah, and you have to give it for Governor Sununu, because some of my friends on the left were complaining about this. Come, give me a break. First of all, I've met him a few times. He's a good guy. Why would you complain about something?
Raising money for a good cause.
Positive? And he, and in the beginning, at the end, I didn't see they had some teach-in or something in the beginning.
Yeah.
But at the end, everybody talked about what they were thinking, and he had to listen to a bunch of progressives complaining about guns in schools and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a joke, but no, but it's not in a way, because there he is. I think he was very earnest about it.
Yep.
And I remember what you said, because you said you couldn't be there, but next year we'll have more awareness.
Build the momentum up for it. I never heard about it till this year, and I guess I'm more involved with the city now, and I see more things that are going on, but I never heard of this in the past 5 or 6 years I've been here.
It was cold.
Yeah. It's about 10 or 20 degrees.
Oh, did you sleep out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By the time we woke up at 5 o'clock, I thought I was going to freeze to death. I didn't have my old army.
Yeah.
I have an old sleep
'cause you have
bag
to give it back.
from the Marine Corps it's a cold weather one. It's good to 40 below. It's
Oh,
great.
yeah. The one I had was like a 30-degree one. Well, it's only supposed to be 32. That didn't mean that the ground is 32. And I went into my old barracks bag. Most of the stuff won't fit, but I had some socks and gloves. But yeah. But bipartisanship, something that's so worthwhile than that.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, we got less than 10 minutes now. You wanted to bring up about
Does that say
Jim
Pat Benatar? I have
No,
poor eyes.
pay,
No,
her pay and benefits.
No, the Jim Roy on this. So did you vote on that? The Jim Roy, when they were setting
Why
up
don't you
that-
explain, Ross?
Yeah.
Well, who's the other guy? His name was Sink? Mr. Sink?
Mr. Sink. He was...
The mayor, so there is an open position on the planning board.
Yep.
And the mayor is the person tasked by the charter with nominating people to the board.
And traditionally, when there's an opening, the alternates to the board get the opening.
And who says traditionally? Because there used to not be any alternates.
Yeah. But being an alternate, I mean, I'm not going to sign up to do a volunteer position as an alternate and then just sit there for 20 years. You do it
But
because
that's
you want to
Jim-
get the experience.
But we're talking about Jim Roy, a former alderman.
Yeah, for Jim Roy. And one of the reasons why he wasn't elected or appointed was because they didn't have his resume. He's been on that board for how long now? He's been an alderman. They're both highly qualified people. There's no reason to pass him over.
Also a very strong supporter of the former mayor who put him on as an alternate.
And if you don't have his resume, reach out and get it. Don't use that as a
Well,
reason.
point is,
she
it's
worked
the
with him.
mayor's
She
choice.
knows who he is. He's a firefighter. He's an alderman. She knows. It's not like he's Joe Blow off
And
the
he's
street.
been on the
Yeah.
He's a very well-known,
Well-respected.
long-established.
But
She
when
knows
you
who
know-
he is.
Yeah. I don't like playing the politics in the two sides. Everyone's either Republican, Democrat, or Independent. I get it.
Well, Jim
But we
Roy
need-
is a
We need
Democrat.
to, we need to work together. And I'm a Republican,
But,
and I still think he should get the position. I mean,
Well,
it's just...
I'm not on the board, and I'm not going to criticize you for that
Yeah.
position. But it's her choice.
Yeah.
She's the mayor, and Jim Roy's had his time. But it's like somebody said. Somebody was complaining. I'm just going to say some of the backroom stuff. Not backroom, but just hearing the grapevine.
Yeah.
Well, now you're against Jim Moreau, but you voted. The board voted to put him on as an alternate. But still, there used to not be alternates.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't do her homework because it was an embarrassment for her in that I don't think she had any support for her nominee. I don't think anybody voted for Mr. Singh. So that was kind of embarrassing for her that she didn't do the homework.
Well, one of the problems, you asked me, what about being a mayor? I only know Gatsis, and I remember Silvio Dupuy, and we had a mayor called Pariso who died. So Dick Stanton, who was the city clerk, became mayor because the board voted for him. And then Silvio Dupuy got reelected, but then he resigned to become head of CMC. And so Dick Stanton became it again, and then he became mayor. I've always heard that it takes a while to become mayor. Even for Mayor Gatsis, who'd been on the board, it takes a while to become a mayor.
That's why it's kind of disappointing with the 2-year term. They just get started getting going, and then they can switch. On the hair.
I always think it should be. Some places have 3-year terms.
4 years,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Well, 3 years because it is New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I've actually seen places with 3 years. Because it's just what you said. You have to get established, whatever. There's never been a one-term mayor that I can
Really?
think of. Not that but see, I go back to, I left in 1978 and I came back in 2010, so.
That is, something that whoever does go up again next year, typically most people do a 2-year term, or 2 terms minimum, I would think.
But I think some people, Democrats on the board, ought to remember that isn't a new mayor, and it's not Ted Gatsis, and oppose everything the mayor says. Because remember that old dynamic.
Yeah.
If the mayor wants it, I'm against it.
And I think do you think some of the city unions are going to be disappointed in that? They supported Joyce. Her hands are tied with the tax cap, so she's not going to be able to give them what they want.
What do you guys think about
There's
the
a reason why they
contract?
supported her so hard.
Because they thought they were going to get what they want. They're not going to get it.
Like I said, there's going to be a wish list of things that she wants to do on top of the budget. And
What do you think about the school contract? Are they going to? What can they get? See,
It's more
my
new.
understanding is the city's practically bankrupt.
we're running very tight.
Yeah.
We're very lean. I don't think we're bankrupt, but I don't see us getting anything above the tax cap, little or nothing.
What is the tax cap? 2% this year?
1.63, I believe.
Right around.
So it's the CPI. So they take the consumer price
Right.
index, which is a basket of things like the price of gas, movie tickets, which doesn't make any sense to me.
No, yeah.
And then
that is.
and then
the
they average it
CPI.
over 3
Yeah.
years because you don't want these radical ups and downs. So what they do is they look at it for 3 years, they average it out, and,
Right.
and then the most recent year was 1.63. It seems like inflation's on the uptick though, so that
And
the
it- yeah.
CPI is going to be going up.
Do you think the school budget, I'll go with Ross first, is adequate?
No, and I am a fiscal
It's only about
conservative.
3 minutes.
Here's the thing: if Jim is right, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And money doesn't solve all problems, but Manchester is the lowest spending district in the state. If we were average, just average, so let's say we're around $12,000 per student, and I haven't seen the numbers in a while. The state average is we're about $3,000 below. If you multiply, we have about 14,000 students. So if you took the state average,
Yeah.
just average, times the number of students, that's $42 million. It would blow our budget apart. The people of Manchester would
Right.
freak out. They're not going to pay that money. We're never going to get to average.
Well,
But we're
Nashua-
but
Nashua's even less, and they have a per
I thought they were
median-
slightly above us. I thought they were
Is
about
it?
10 spots above us.
Oh, I thought it was about even or less.
They're slightly above us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't really. You can see that the schools. Well, no, I don't have any kids, but they
No.
have $10,000 a year median income more. Manchester is not a
It's
wealthy
also
city.
it's the poorest city or town in New Hampshire too.
What
That's
percent of
another
that budget goes to the students, though? What percent of the city school budget?
You get the last word.
Well, like all service industry, I would consider education to be a service industry.
Well, if you
about
said-
75% of it goes to pay and benefits.
Pay and benefits.
But that's anything that doesn't have a high overhead. It's going to be about the same. So if you're in the financial service industry,
I want new books. I want to supply our kids with great materials. I want the teachers are adequately paid, but I want more, new technology for those kids, and I don't think tossing more money
Okay, we
at
got
that's gonna
30
make that
seconds.
happen.
If you two want to come back next week or a week after that, why
Definitely.
don't you? Because we ran out of time. There's so much to talk about.
Is that a threat?
And we won't bring Jim on and to take up his 10 minutes turns into 22.
Yeah, he bloviates a lot.
Thanks, and hopefully we'll have you both. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And
Have a good
Ross,
night.
come on more.
That's my pleasure.
Okay.
What are
Bye.
you doing now?